Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. Couple different stories I want to touch on and then provide for you sort of the bigger picture and the theories surrounding everything. The Washington Post published an article back on the 10th of January called "The New Way Police Are Surveilling You, Calculating Your Threat Score." And it goes over this program called Beware that the police are using in Fresno. Not without controversy, by the way. But basically, let me read this quote for you from the article. It says, "The program scoured billions of data points, including arrest reports, property records, commercial databases, deep web searches, and the man's social media postings. It calculated his threat level as the highest of 3 color-coded scores, a bright red warning." And this is in reference to a particular suspect that they were looking for. Now, the article is pretty long here, so you can go ahead and read it, and there's some backlash as to the use of this technology. And I mean, they can tap into the 200 police cameras that's perched across the city, 800 feeds from city school traffic cameras and other places, and then 400 more streams from cameras that are worn by police officers. And they're opening it up to even more recorders and video cameras and various things that people are using just on the street. And so the surveillance world, the Big Brother system, is here. And the way they portray the article obviously is sort of fair, in my opinion, for a mainstream outlet. You know, they say that, again, it's not without concern, that there are people concerned about this technology. But then from the end of the police, they're saying, well, you know, this is good because we're figuring out crimes, we're cracking cases that we haven't been able to in years, etc., etc. And this software, again, is called Beware, and it's created by Intrado. And Intrado keeps their algorithms a secret of how they basically use the data that they collect to deem a person green, which is normal, yellow, which is medium threat, or red, which is high threat. And so it scours your Facebook, your social media, and Intrado claims that, you know, hey, we only scour things that are public. But obviously that's a lie, because they're saying that there's, you know, cameras and dark web stuff. That's not necessarily public information either. So this is happening, Big Brother, Minority Report style policing. And on one hand, yes, crime is going to be lowered. So, hey, that's a good thing. On the other hand, having an algorithm from a software that nobody knows exactly how it works determine the threat level of a person or a resident is asking for trouble, in my opinion. And certain people agree with that sentiment in the article that they quote as well. Now, that being said, the other part of the news here is that Pope Francis is about to meet Google's Eric Schmidt in rare tech industry meeting. And Eric Schmidt is the former CEO of Google. His net worth is $10.6 billion, and he's the executive chairman and, in effect, the global ambassador of Alphabet, which is a newly formed conglomerate which includes Google. He's politically active with liberal causes. He's donated to Barack Obama's campaign, blah, 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 all kinds of stuff. This company, Alphabet, which is so ironic, right? We always talk about the alphabet soup agencies, is worth $500 billion. And so why would the Pope want to meet Eric Schmidt? Well, I think the tie-in with Google here and the parent company Alphabet, all of this is being set up as part of the 2030 agenda. I made a video about this back in November called 2030 Biometrics Agenda, UN Mark of the Beast, CERN connection confirmed. There is a connection here. The dots are connecting right before our eyes. But here's the deal. What does it all have to do with? Well, I put together a potential outcome of how all this will play out in Age of Deceit 2, Alchemy and the Rise of the Beast image. And interestingly enough, in the section about the image of the beast, I mentioned Eric Schmidt and Google, but I also mentioned Netanyahu and the modern nation state of Israel. And there's some tie-ins there with some stuff that's not so public, or at least it's public, but people don't really talk about in connection with the internet. And I think it ties into the Antichrist setting up his system right there in Jerusalem, the holy place, saying that I am God. There are passages that talk about this, and I think that'll be fulfilled. And speculating that technology and computers have something to do with the mark of the beast and the image of the beast is nothing new. It's been around for decades. But I think the picture is becoming clearer and clearer as knowledge increases. And those of us keeping a pulse on this kind of stuff, we're seeing it all over the place now. And this is just another big dot connection between the Pope, who a lot of folks believe is the false prophet. I'm not quite sure yet, but it does seem like it's heading in that direction. Google, and specifically Eric Schmidt, the Antichrist possibly presenting himself as the Jewish Messiah, which ironically enough, just a few weeks ago, there were some rabbis that said that their Messiah is here and stuff like that. and the UN, CERN, all that stuff. So check out this clip. The achievement of a technological singularity will be the ultimate fulfillment of Satan's plan in making himself like the Most High God. While there are many brilliant Bible scholars and commentators who have varying perspectives of how the end times will unfold, my goal here is not to promote a particular timeline, but rather speculate as to how the Bible may reveal the role of artificial intelligence and the technological singularity. In Revelation chapter 13, we see a startling description of what to expect in the end times. Verses 11 through 18 provides a profile and the actions of the second beast. It reads, quote, "Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak, and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. And it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. To begin, it is important to point out that the second beast is otherwise known as the false prophet. Recent Bible scholars and authors, Tom Horn and Chris Putnam, in their books Petros Romanus, The Final Pope is Here, and the follow-up Exo Vaticana, Petros Romanus and the Vatican's Astonishing Plans for the Arrival of an Alien Savior, have raised the possibility that our current Pope, Pope Francis, would not only be the final Pope as prophesied in the prophecy of the popes allegedly written by St. Malachi in the 12th century, but the false prophet himself. Revelation 13:11 states that the false prophet will have 2 horns like a lamb, but speak like a dragon. The dragon is undoubtedly Satan, but what is amazing is that the current pope is loved and adored by the world. Time magazine chose Pope Francis as Time's Person of the Year for 2013, and his popularity is steadily increasing. Still, I am not ready to say that Pope Francis is the false prophet described in Revelation 13. However, given the circumstances of the various aspects that Tom Horn and Chris Putnam have pointed out regarding the Vatican and their potential plans to reveal an extraterrestrial presence on Earth, I cannot rule out the possibility. If Pope Francis is the false prophet, then we would have to see the Antichrist rise to power first, conquer several nations surrounding Israel, and be killed in the process. This is because Revelation 13 tells us that it is the false prophet who uses miracles to resurrect the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. In fact, his counterfeit signs and miracles are so powerful that he even calls fire down from heaven to earth in front of people. Perhaps this fire that comes down from heaven in front of people has to do with the extraterrestrial presence that is due to be revealed. This is likely since we know that the coming of the lawless one will be led by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders. This call of fire down from heaven might be a counterfeit to Elijah in 2 Kings 1 as a way to deceitfully convince the world that he possesses the spirit of Elijah, as did John the Baptist, paving the way for Jesus. In light of these possibilities, as Horn and Putnam have pointed out, it is quite startling that the Vatican owns some of the most powerful telescopes in the world. The Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope sits on top of the Mount Graham International Observatory in southeast Arizona. Next to this telescope on Mount Graham is another telescope, the Large Binocular Telescope named Lucifer, which stands for Large Binocular Telescope Near Infrared Utility with Camera and Integral Field Unit for Extragalactic Research. If the Vatican and the papacy does not have anything to do with what is prophesied in Revelation 13, why do they own the most powerful telescope in the world, and what are they looking for? Regardless of how it plays out, the display of calling fire down from heaven will give the false prophet great authority. It will be with this authority that the false prophet will tell the people of the earth to build an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword, yet lived. It is important to point out that the image will be built by the people. It is again my speculation that this image will be highly technical in nature. There are several points to consider in this theory. First, alluding back to the connection with the Vatican, it was reported on the Vatican Insider by Andrea Tornielli in an article titled "The Vatican Invests in Cutting-Edge Technology and Regular Bug-Clearing Operations" that, quote, "The Vatican does not rely on special external companies. Instead, it has purchased cutting-edge instruments and technologies of its own, some of which are made in Israel." Such information brings light to another point. Israel, where the image of the beast will be erected on the rebuilt Third Temple, is very engaged in scientific and technological inquiry, with the highest percentage spent on research and development in relation to gross domestic product in the world. As a result, Israeli scientists have contributed to the advancement of computer science, electronics, genetics, healthcare, optics, solar energy, and various fields of engineering. In fact, in 2012, the chairman of Google, Eric Schmidt, went on record saying that, quote, "Israel has the most important high-tech center in the world after the US." Even more, the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Intelligent Systems magazine, named 2 PhD graduates of computer science at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Dr. Aviv Zohar and Dr. Ariel Prokasia, as 2 of the top 10 researchers who are rising stars in the field of artificial intelligence. In an article published by The Telegraph entitled "The Rabbi, the Lost Ark, and the Future of the Temple Mount," quotes Rabbi Chaim Richman, international director for the Temple Institute in Jerusalem. After claiming that Jews have known the location of the Ark of the Covenant for centuries, he goes on to describe his aspirations for the Third Temple. Quote, "There's no reason why we shouldn't use technology, which is the modern miracle, alongside the heavenly miracles. It's part of our vision of the temple as a realistic potential in our times." If that weren't enough, during the editing process of this film, 2 pieces of information became public to bolster this thesis even more. First is that the Israeli housing minister called for the building of the Third Temple.
Israel says it's planning to replace the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem and Quds with a temple. The Minister of Housing and Construction has called for the construction of what he calls the Third Temple to replace the holy site. Uri Ariel says the first and the second temples were destroyed many years ago, so the third one needs to be built now. Al-Aqsa Mosque is considered the third holiest site in Islam. Palestinians have denounced the plan as desecration. They say it's part of Israel's ongoing attempts to distort the Arab and Islamic history. Palestinians argue that Jerusalem is the capital of a future Palestinian independent state and that its heritage should remain intact.
Secondly, Infowars.com reported on January 27, 2014, that during the CyberTech 2014 conference held in Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu proposed establishing a, quote, kind of UN of the internet led by Israel. According to the article, Netanyahu stated, quote, "We need a coalition of leading companies with capabilities in this world. This is the best thing that we can do to deal with the challenges. In my opinion, Israel is the leader in this field. We decided to concentrate these skills and establish a consortium of our security agencies, research institutes, and businesses. We think we can turn the curse of the internet into a blessing because we all need it. We set up a special organization, a cyber headquarters, to see how it is possible to combine these capabilities with others. This is something we all want to see, a cyber world that is open, free, and prosperous, in which everyone participates. When you think about cyber, you'll think about Israel." After the image of the beast is built, the false prophet will, quote, "give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain." In Matthew 24, Jesus warns about the abomination of desolation. Quote, "So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, let the reader understand, and let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains." What Jesus is referring to here are several passages in the book of Daniel that speaks about the end times abomination. Daniel 11:31 states, quote, "Forces from him shall appear and profane the temple of fortress, and shall take away the regular burnt offering, and they shall set up the abomination that makes desolate." Then in Daniel 12:11 it states, quote, "And from the time that the regular burnt offering is taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate is set up, there shall be 1,290 days." Most Bible prophecy scholars believe that the abomination of desolation is the Antichrist himself. However, there are some who believe that the abomination of desolation itself is actually the image of the beast. Warren Wendell Wiersbe, a Bible scholar and pastor, stated in 1992 in his expository outline on the New Testament, quote, "The false prophet is the one who orders the image of the beast made. This is the abomination of desolation found in Matthew 24:15, Daniel 11:45, and 2 Thessalonians 2:4. The beast will have his image set up in the restored Jewish temple in Jerusalem at this time. This image will come to life. It will speak and greatly amaze the world. Both the beast and his image will speak great things and utter blasphemies against heaven." Then, in his Bible exposition commentary on Revelation 13:11, he states, quote, "What is the abomination of desolation? It is the image of the beast set up in the temple in Jerusalem. An idol is bad enough, but setting it up in the temple is the height of all blasphemy. Since Satan could not command worship in heaven, he will go to the next best place, the Jewish temple in the holy city. The false prophet, energized by Satan, will perform his lying wonders and even duplicate some of the signs performed by the two witnesses. Upon this time, the two witnesses have been ministering at the temple in Jerusalem, but the beast will slay them and take over the temple. When God raises the two witnesses from the dead and takes them to heaven, the false prophet will answer that challenge by giving life to the image of the beast. Not only will the image move, but it will speak. Despite the progress being made towards the fulfillment of technological singularity, it seems the final piece of the puzzle of creating machine sentience will come from the false prophet giving breath to the image so that it may speak. However, the image will not possess a soul of any kind. It will be the ultimate abomination to God, with the power to persuade mankind to abandon the image of God that is within us. Consider what author Kevin Kelly said in his book, What Technology Wants. Quote, "The technium is primed to hijack matter and rearrange its atoms to infiltrate it with sentience. If there is a God, the arc of the technium is aimed right at him. It is my opinion that Jesus warns the people of Jerusalem to flee immediately after the abomination of desolation is set up, because this will initiate the start of Satan's human enslavement program via the sentient machine labeled the image of the beast in the Bible. And upon the deployment of the mark of the beast, humanity will effectively become a race of Satan's golem. While the alchemical tradition for the golem was to create a helper for mankind, Satan will turn that around and create us into his helpers, so that we may bear the image of the beast. One way to picture what this might look like is to consider the development of the internet as being part of what is speculated to become a conscious global brain. According to Dick Pelletier, a columnist who writes about future science and technology, stated, quote, "Computer scientists compare the internet to Earth growing a global brain. As users, we represent the neurons. Our emails, IMs, and blogs act as synaptic actions, and electromagnetic waves through the sky become neural pathways. Like germinating seeds, this wonder tech continues to evolve and, as many predict, will not stop until it achieves human-like consciousness. The image of the beast will, quote, cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. And it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. In other words, those who do not take the mark and become a participating neuron in the global brain will effectively be seen as a virus and be eliminated. According to the occultists and esoteric spiritualists, the creation of a golem consists of two things. The first was to form the body. The second was to animate it. The fascinating part of animating the body was the use of magical words and sacred names. In some Kabbalistic traditions, it was said that in order to animate the golem, those sacred letters or words must be written and placed either in the golem's mouth or on the forearm or forehead. These are the three places in which the false prophet, through the image of the beast, will force worship of the first beast. the mouth, where if you do not worship the image of the beast, you will be killed, and the right hand or the forehead, where unless you receive the mark of the beast, you will not be allowed to buy, sell, or trade. The mark of the beast will effectively be promoted as the long-desired philosopher's stone, which will finally give humanity all that it has lost from the fall. Given the technological framework that we've been looking at, the various life extension projects, as well as the development of transhumanism and post-humanism will be achieved. But according to the Bible, such a promise will not be all that it's cracked up to be. The fifth trumpet in Revelation 9:6 describes, quote, "In those days, people will seek death and not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them." The image of the beast will fulfill all the dreams of alchemy as Satan's counterfeit creation of sentient life, which would only allow those who would willingly accept to be part of the system via the mark of the beast or the philosopher's stone to live, evolve, and become gods as a part of this hive-minded global brain, while those who reject it will be seen as a virus and therefore killed. It is fascinating to consider what the Bible says about those who oppose Jesus Christ in the end times as being of one mind, as they hand over their power and authority to the beast. While these speculations seem wild and incredible, with all the talk of mind uploading, transhumanism, hologram-like avatar bodies, and gateways to the human brain, I would simply like to suggest that the Bible is not silent on such matters. In fact, it is my opinion that the Word of God had warned us all along that these developments will be a major sign that His return is near. Perhaps this is why Jesus said in Matthew 24:22, quote, "And if those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short." Thanks for watching my video. Please share it with friends, family, and whoever else you think might benefit from this information. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel and dig around the archives. I have hundreds of videos covering topics ranging from angels, aliens, and the Antichrist to global conspiracies of the New World Order, eugenics, genetics, Genesis 6, the Nephilim, transhumanism, and much, much more. And don't forget to check out my full-length documentaries, Age of Deceit, Fallen Angels, and the New World Order, and Age of Deceit 2, Alchemy, and the Rise of the Beast Image, all of which you can watch for free right here on the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. And if you want even more content, check out canarycryradio.com, our podcast where we investigate similar issues and interview all kinds of experts on several different topics. In fact, we just finished episode 100, which is 7 hours long, where we interviewed 26 people in one podcast episode. You can find the podcast at canarycryradio.com or go subscribe to the Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel. Again, thanks for watching and have an awesome day. God bless.